Welcome to the Indigo Minute podcast. I am your host, Maxim Presence, and today I'm talking to my homie, Steven. Steven is a very talented musician. You can check him out on Spotify under the name Steven. So without further ado, let's dive deep into the collective unconscious. This is History in the Making. What's up, Steven?
Let's go.
This is the very first official podcast for Indigo Minute.
I'm honored, man.
And it's sort of like reflections on the self, conversations with the self. And my first question, I want to kick
So
it
conversations for narcissists.
Conversations with your multiple reflections. It's sort of like you're asking yourself questions and pulling information out of your reflection as if it's like a door. So like I'll ask you a question, you can ask me a question, and as we ask each other questions, we pull information out of each other that, you know, is like easier to get when your reflection answers it for you. You know what I mean? So my first question to you is, what is something that you're manifesting this week? Or really maybe you're letting go of something? Or what's really something that is like piquing your curiosity that you're thinking about or exploring in your life? Like, what are you thinking about right now?
Well, I'm always thinking about a lot, man, but a huge focus this week for me, really for the past couple weeks, has been recognizing this force in my life that wants to destroy me, that wants me to sleep in, that wants me to fuck off all day, that wants me to not grow and learn and be creative and put in the work and do the things that are fulfilling. This force wants instant gratification. It wants to hit headshots in Overwatch. One of my favorite books is called The War of Art by this guy named Steven Pressfield.
I'm familiar.
I've read it like 3 or 4 times, and the whole book is about this force that he identifies that every artist and every human being faces, and he calls it resistance. And I've always felt resistance in my life, but for some reason I feel it now more than ever. And not only do I feel it now more than ever, but I've lost so many battles to it the past couple months, the past year. And I think the first step towards overcoming it for me was recognizing when it was happening. Recognizing that when I did give in to those instant desires for gratification, recognizing where I ended up after I was done indulging. And it was always the same place of like, damn, I wasted my time. I don't feel good now, you know? And then also recognizing how good I felt after making the sacrifices and putting in the work for the day. So it started there, and over the past couple of months, I've caught myself going in and out of these flows where for a week I'll be on it and I'll be so inspired and I'll be getting up right when I said I would and I'd be doing all the things I said I would. And then something would happen and I'd get demotivated and I'd fall off. And then it's when you're weak, it's when you're doubting yourself that resistance strikes.
See, this is a concept that actually I've been thinking about in relation to the mind. So like that resistance of what you're talking about, it literally, you said something happens and I get demotivated. Well, what happens? Literally the mind comes in, hijacks your attention and pulls it into doubt or like comfort or sort of like a sleep. It's sort of like the mind gets really caught up in thinking and you get so much into the thought that you can't really act. And in this is something I'm exploring. In Buddhism, they talk about samadhi as a experience of no mind, or in a sense a single pointedness of mind. So when you are experiencing your life, if the mind comes in, then you're attached to projections onto the moment because the mind is creating all these ideas and you're looking at things with those ideas through that lens. And in this Buddhism idea of samadhi that I've been exploring, if you can eliminate the mind, you just drop the mind, almost like imagine like a void, and everything gets sucked up into it that you think. So any thought that comes up, it just almost evaporates like clouds into this void, like a vacuum sucks it all up. And when you have no thoughts in your very, very present, you literally go through the experience as if like everything feels amazing, because you're not attached to all these judgments or projections, and you're basically free to be empty, which equals contentment and literally like a blissful energy.
And do you think that blissful energy would want me to put in the work and be creative? And
yeah, and this is the paradox, because if you may think, oh, if I have no mind, then how am I going to function as a human being? You know what I mean? But if you have no mind, the blissful energy is like joy, right? And the joy gets you going. Joyful excitement energy gives you like this momentum to take action. So you're like excited and like feeling good about life. So then when something comes up in your moment, because you're so present, something comes up and you get an instant knowing of act now. And you just do it because you're not thinking about acting, you're just acting because there's no mind. It's sort of like you're just empty of your own tinkering with the moment, and you allow the moment to sort of express itself through you. It is a way that you can literally function 24/7. It's like a flow state hack, but I think it takes a lot of awareness to keep emptying your mind whenever something comes up. Because at first you think that it's like counterproductive, like it's emptying your mind is like, no, you need to use your mind, and you can still use it, but it's a very like finesse subject, low-key.
Yeah, well,
very subtle.
I can relate to that. So what I've been doing to counteract this now, I just started doing this, is I got this whiteboard, this little whiteboard that I like Velcro to the back of my door of my bedroom, or the front of my door of my bedroom. And every night I write down on that board all of the things, all of the goals, and all of the things that I promised to myself that I'm going to accomplish tomorrow. And I write it all down, and right now it's really simple. It's wake up, no snooze, meditate, cook breakfast, get to the studio, put in the work. This is what you're going to get done at the studio. Come home, either go to the gym or do yoga, So it's pretty simple.
There's like a pattern.
Yeah, there's a pattern. I have a morning routine, a night routine, and then obviously like my music during the day.
Yeah.
And what I do is, the hardest thing for me is getting up, because that's when resistance is the strongest. When I'm tired, that's when it's hardest for me to do what you're talking about and like letting go and being a vacuum, because I'm just so brain fogged, like I'm half asleep, and the temptation to just fall back into sleep is so easy. So what I did is I downloaded this app called Alarmy, and it's a you can't snooze, and the only way to turn off the alarm is by taking a picture of whatever you set the picture to. So I set the picture every night to the goals that I wrote down on my whiteboard. Nice. So what I have to do is I have to wake up, I have to look at this whiteboard and what I put so much love and dedication into the night before.
Yeah.
With all these like exclamation marks and like little emojis and shit. And I have to take a picture of it to turn off my alarm. So I can't go back to sleep after that.
Right.
Like that's me checking in.
Has it been working?
With myself. Yeah, it's been working. It's so easy. And part of my routine, like I said, is meditation. And one of the first things I do after sort of like getting on my feet is I go outside and I sit on this little rock thing and I meditate for like 20 minutes. And that is me letting go of everything. That's like my time to just detach from even the goals that I set that day. Just sort of let go and be present. listen to my breath.
And be no mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what you feel in those moments? Or are you...
I think the goal is
able to...
Yeah, I mean, I've been meditating for a really long time now. And I'm pretty good at, like, getting to a place where I'm not thinking, where I'm, like, really focused on my breath. And it's such an amazing feeling. It's not ideal. Like, there's so much more deeper to go with that.
Right.
But it's like a good start.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like a really important part of my life. But yeah. But the thing is, after I meditate, I go back on with my day, and it's pretty hard to be to be no mind when you're so consumed in all these things you're doing. So I'll try that, man. I'll try kind of checking in and like clearing my head. That could be cool.
Eckhart
Samadhi, I like that name.
Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about that power of now, and I think it has a lot to do with that foundation of basically seeing everything as empty of the meaning, of the limit, because like we're like the masters of limitation in the sense that we unconsciously assign things in our life a limited meaning, like that it's, you know, I can't do this, I can't do that, or that object is
good
limited,
or bad, or annoying, or
and those sort of meanings that we give to things, these things don't actually have those pre-built-in meanings. Those things are neutral. They don't have any meaning at all, and nothing has any meaning at all. We talked earlier where you had an experience where you felt like everything was like a matrix and it had no meaning, and it was sort of like scary almost because it was like almost empty. It was like, right? And it really is like that, where nothing actually has meaning, and we unconsciously create so much meaning to things. And so part of the exercise of the no mind is, if you empty your mind, you really empty yourself of all the limits you've been unconsciously assigning to, this is a tree, but low key we just called it a tree, and is it really, you know what I mean? Like, it's just creating this sort of structure, which is important to have the experience. But what I'm saying is, if you want to expand into more of like the God man, the transcendent possibility that I think man has that's different from animal, is this transcendent God particle, which is basically able to unlock limit by redefining it as infinite, you know what I mean? And giving things.
So I have a question for you. Do you feel that the goal is to eliminate all labeling, good and bad, and to be in a place where there's no... you look at a tree, or you look at traffic, or you look at a friend, and it doesn't evoke a series of feelings?
I think that...
Because that sounds pretty inhuman.
No, that's not what I think. I think that you merge the idea of a label with the idea of oneness. So what I'm saying is, when you look at the thing you're saying is a tree, you also recognize that it's infinite, and you're just calling it a tree temporarily. So you still get the experience of the tree and the feeling from the tree and all that, but in the back of your mind, in the same space, you also recognize that it's one energy. It's like basically like a substance that can become anything. It's not rigid. It's a tree in this moment, but it's also in the same space has unlimited possibility to be anything else. And so it basically unlocks the limit, because the limit is like, I'm a tree, or I'm a musician, or I'm a, artist. You're defining yourself as this, but not that. And you're saying, I'm only this, but you could say you're
a porcupine. I can become a porcupine.
You could be a porcupine.
That's sick.
And once you said it, I felt that energy in you. That's your
Don't
spirit
touch me,
animal,
dude. I'm
bro.
gonna stab you.
That's your spirit animal.
I just want to be a porcupine so people stop petting my hair. There needs to be consequences.
You get to decide when the spikes go up.
Yeah, they're gonna be up all the time.
Well, that's something that I guess is a trust thing. You know?
Trust. Let's talk about that.
What do you trust in?
Trust is tough, man.
Why is it tough?
Because I think that anybody who has, like, I think with intelligence comes the ability to, or the desire to question everything, you know? The whole first half of my life, I was not much of a questioner. I kind of just took everything as it was. I was curious about things. I had a deep curiosity, but when somebody told me what something was, I just sort of accepted it. And I think it's because I trusted the people. I trusted my parents. I trusted my friends.
Yeah.
And I had this trust, so the world that I saw was the world that was sort of shown to me from the people that I knew, that I had in my life, and the experiences I had. But as I got older, I got smarter and more life experience, and I started questioning things. And when I started questioning things, my trust started to evaporate, and I started doubting the things that I used to believe in.
Right.
And now I'm at a point where, I don't know. It's like I'm kind of always questioning things. It's like I almost don't know what to believe in, you know? Like, I mean, yeah, sure, there's some key things, you know, like I trust my brother, for example. Like I trust my parents. I trust you. I trust my closest friends.
Yeah.
But there's so many things in life that we rely on that I oftentimes don't trust.
What's a thing that you don't trust?
Everything else.
Like just the society's like definitions of how to live life, or
I think the deepest one is trusting that I'm going to be okay. You know that feeling of like comfort you get when you know you're going to be all right?
Yeah.
That was something that accompanied me my entire life as a child. Just knowing everything's fine.
Yeah.
You know, realizing, I mean, and now...
Where did that come from?
It come from being naive. It come from growing up in like a really, just like happy place with a great family and great friends and lots of love.
Yeah, so then...
And never really seen parts of the world.
So then you're like, oh shit, what the fuck? I thought shit was different.
Yeah, well, so it's just like I'm smarter. I mean, I look at my life and I'm incredibly grateful, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I can't really ask for much more than this. And I'm aware that I'm probably living one of the safest, like, lives possible, you know? Like, I'm in a safe place. I'm surrounded by good people. Like, I'm not in any danger. But I'm smart enough to recognize that, like, at any moment, it's like something can strike me down. I mean, I was sick recently, you know? Like, really sick for, like, almost a year. And
yeah, that's right.
Up until that point, I was like, yeah, like, I trust that I'm going to be fine. But it was like, holy crap. Wait, at any moment something can strike me down, whether it's illness or a car accident or anything.
After that experience of going through this shift in perspective, where do you feel your trust is in now?
I'm not sure. What's your trust in?
Well, I think that I trust that form or no form, I will exist. So, like, I trust in my core existence. Meaning, like, yeah, I have this... I'm pretending to be this human right now. But really, my core identity is this untouchable witness, you know? And so, like, I trust in my existence, like, meaning maybe my perspective will change. Maybe I won't be looking through the eyes of a human. Maybe I'll be looking through the eyes of a different identity. But I trust that I'll always have a perspective to look through and from.
But so
whether or not it's this form or whatever. So
right.
Sort of like I trust.
So what you're saying is you trust that there's life after death, that your consciousness or your experience will continue.
That I 100% trust.
But so what's the difference between, in this case, trusting and believing? And what's the difference between believing and just being delusional or just blindly...
Well, I know. I don't believe. It's not even... Trust to me is like, I know. You know, you're trusting because you
But the thing is, there's
like,
so many things that I know or used to know that I didn't, that then were shattered. Like...
And that's the thing is, we put trust into different belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting your trust in sort of like things that are changing.
Mm-hmm.
Your beliefs and perspectives will always change. You may think that the world is like this way, but then really maybe you get on some super deep woke shit and ascend, and like shit's way different, and everything is who you are is different, and everything you thought was how life was is totally different because you're in a whole different game and a whole different experience. You know what I mean? Like things could change like that quickly. But at the same time, what I was saying is like putting the trust in something that doesn't change, which is just existing. Like you will always exist. And I also trust that I get to sort of guide what I'm gonna like experience by what I like put my attention on. So I trust that like if I say I'm good, I basically trust fundamentally that I will have what I need when I need it.
That's cool.
So like if I don't have something that I want, I trust that I don't need it at that moment, and if I did, it would not be good for me. And I trust that I will get what I need right when I need it, and not a moment too early, but not a moment too late. Mm-hmm. So it's like I don't have to think about the future or the past, because I trust that in this moment I'll get what I need when I need it.
Mm-hmm. What's up, Choco?
Hi, what's up?
Hola.
Hola.
Okay, so I love that. That's a beautiful thing to trust in. That's amazing. I wish I knew what you knew, because that would probably bring me a lot of comfort.
You do know that.
But I almost feel like I don't need a promise of like life after death or of eternity, because you know what I trust in? I trust in like the present moment being incredible if you're truly here. That's like if I was a religious person, or if I had a religion, it would pretty much have one rule, and it would be here right now, like be present. Because that is when I feel the best. That's when you feel all of the love and the connection and like the beauty, and it's sort of this thing you were talking about earlier with samadhi. What is it called? Samadhi.
Yeah.
Of like no mind. You're just here. You're just experiencing the wonder of like this moment, and you really need nothing more. That is something I trust in, and that is something that I kind of just want to dedicate my life to being in that place more often and getting closer to that.
What triggers you into that space? Like, because you've been in that space before, but how do you get yourself into that space? Like, if you were to decide right now, I want to be in that space, you're like aware.
It's I think part of it comes from there's a level of dedication involved, you know? Like, I think it's hard to be in that space if you're unhealthy, if you're not sleeping well, if you're making decisions in your life that you know are hurting you. I think it's... So, for me, like, I really try to exercise, and I try to eat right, and I try to do all these things to make my body function at its fullest. but then also I think it's like a conscious awareness and attention to like reminding yourself as often as you can, like, hey, all that stuff that you're thinking about that's gonna happen, or all that stuff that just happened, like, forget about it, man.
Yeah,
like,
forget.
Be right here, right now. Like,
yeah.
If you want to feel good, I promise you that's where it's at. Now, it's tough because there comes times in my day where it's almost impossible, you know, like.
But every
when I'm working on music, I guess I'm present, but it's also like a lot of working on music is almost anxious because you have an idea, and if you don't get it out quick enough, it's not going to come out. Yeah. So there's this anxiety to try to get it out.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's like you're being down all these ideas, and it's like you have to execute.
You're like, oh shit, I gotta get these ideas out.
It's a very manic,
I feel
almost.
You. You almost get caught in a daze, like executing on the downloads.
Yeah, and there's times where you go in and out of it where you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, and you're like, oh my god, and you hear everything that you want it to be, and you like have to execute.
Yeah.
And when you're experiencing that, it's pretty hard to be present. But maybe I should try.
No, that's like I think one of those like advanced level be present times, because if you could be present and eliminate that sort of anxiety, because it shouldn't be anxious. I know exactly what you're talking about, because I experience it too when I'm making like any kind of content, like video content, whatever. There's almost like or any project, it's this energy that I think can be eliminated, because it has something to do with why is that there? Mm-hmm. Let's discover. Let's be Sherlock Holmes right now.
Yeah, I love
why is it? Why is there anxiety? Because there's so much stuff to come in, and you feel like you have to do it all and figure it all out.
Here's part of it too. Is I think that the United States and any first world country, and probably most places in the world, honestly, I think just the way that like life has evolved, we've not evolved to be creatures that are present. We've evolved to be creatures that are planned, that are making adaptations based on the past, and that are preparing themselves for what is to come, whether it's the need for survival or food or water or shelter or sex. So our default grooves in our brains are to not be present.
Because of a fear for survival. You think you got to plan
for the
future. Sure,
because of a fear of survival, but also because of conditioning. And so what happens is when I'm not constantly reminding myself to be present, when I'm not consciously overriding that part of my brain that just like wants to like not be here, that wants to survive,
the reptilian part,
then I'm just gonna not be present. So that's why I say it takes discipline, because I think like a monk, like a Buddhist monk who spends like most of his day meditating, he retrains his brain that his default is to just be present.
Yeah. It's definitely...
And something really intense would probably have to happen to him for him to like go out of that state of mind.
Yeah.
But for us, like plebs living in,
we are
in cool houses.
I don't know. I do not take on that limiting definition. I was gonna say
plebs.
I was gonna say I had it. It's such a dope thing. You were talking about the monks, and something would have to pull them out, right? Mm-hmm. When something takes your energy, it's because the thing that takes your energy, your attention, that pulls your attention, it has a lot of presence. It has a lot of power. So like think of a really loud sound, right? Mm-hmm. It has a lot of energy in it as a thing. Mm-hmm. Or like a super beautiful woman or whatever, or a stunning animal,
Okay.
It has so much presence and energy, it can take your attention away from emptiness and cause you to be fascinated by the object. Mm-hmm. And when you cultivate self-awareness, you're sort of cultivating the ability to hold more light, and then you have the energy, and so you have so much power in you that the power is here, and any other power is less cultivated. So it's sort of like this you fill yourself up with the one energy of light, and like that light is seen everywhere you look, and as you see it, you recognize yourself as it because it's within you and around you, and you are it. And by doing that, you create this feeling of presence, and that presence creates basically a trust in the now. And that's the thing that people don't trust in. They don't trust that they'll get what they need right when they need it, because they feel like that's like not rational to trust that deeply, you know? So if cultivating that awareness on the light gets you to be here now, because you're not being distracted by these definite forms. You're only seeing yourself. And so there's nothing to be distracted by because it's all you.
Very interesting. I always learn so much when I talk to you, man.
Likewise. Are you finding that what you're creating, how do you feel about like making art in general?
I love it.
You know,
I love it so much. It's what I live for almost.
What do you feel you love most about it? Like it feels like you type of thing?
That's part of it, like self-expression, yeah. I think when I'm creating music and I get a spark of something, and something is coming out of the speakers that really excites me. That's always what I'm seeking in the beginning. Like when I have a blank project, right, and I open up Ableton and I say, okay, let's write a song. I don't really know what I'm gonna write. I just start throwing stuff down, and it's pretty mindless. It's pretty no mind actually. I'm just playing. I'm turning off my brain.
Where do you think those things are coming from? Those ideas?
I'm not sure, but what happens is
the void.
I get something, like something solidifies, whether it's in 10 minutes or 3 hours, and when I feel that's like, when I feel something come out of the speakers that's like exciting me,
yeah,
I think what's exciting me more than anything is knowing how much potential this has to connect with other people. And I think that the greatest feeling I can think of is feeling connected.
Yeah.
To some, even one person, 5 people, whatever, 100 people, 1 million people. But usually it's a one-on-one. Like when you feel that connection with somebody, and it goes so deep. It goes so deep. It is truly, I can't think of a better feeling. It's so so incredible.
What was a time that maybe comes to mind right now that you felt most connected?
Just
anything that comes to the top of the mind.
I mean, like having sex with somebody that you love. Like having like really like intimate, like deep intimacy with somebody is like, and it's present. Connection is directly associated with being super hyper present.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it's like this realization of like, oh my God, we're here together. Like, whoa, like it's like it's like time freezes. Yeah. And it's just like, oh my God, like we both are just winging it, and we don't even know what's going on. Like we're just like, what is this? You know, it's this feeling of like, what the heck?
Yeah.
How are we even here? Like,
yeah.
But we're here, so let's be here. And like it's this feeling of like, I am you and you are me, and we understand each other, and we're just, and the other times I felt it are like performing. Like I remember when I played Electric Forest 2 summers ago. That was my first music festival, And it was also the first time that I had really played a show since putting out my album. And it was like the first time I played in front of like a big crowd that was also like singing all of my like lyrics.
Yeah.
And they're like singing these lyrics from like songs
reflecting it back to you.
Yeah, from these songs that like came from such a deep, like painful but also hopeful and loving place.
Yeah.
And to just see other people feeling that passionate about it made me feel so good and just so comfortable and so like loved and
validated for who you are.
Yeah, there's a sense of validation. I think that that's a lower thing. I think that that's something that I would love to like overcome, is the desire for validation.
You think that... Well, I was just saying validation whether you desired it or not.
Yeah, there was that, for sure. Yeah. For sure, there's a lot of that. But yeah, I mean... That's why I think I create music, because...
To get that feeling.
Yeah, it feels like the best way... It's my best tool to connect with somebody.
Yeah.
Like, I can connect with people through conversation, through words, through intimacy, through drugs, through various things, but like, yeah, I mean, music is like, I don't know, it's like it's like my most efficient and most, my most experience, it's what I've put the most of my time into.
This is actually interesting, have you ever put have you desired to connect to something that's not a thing that you can touch with your hands? Like some force or energy within yourself that's sort of like not dependent on...
I think it's maybe a little bit different. I think that... So, since... For a while now, I've felt very, very strongly that there's like a force in my life that is like trying to help me and trying to guide me and trying to teach me.
Your future self.
I don't know what it is, man. It could be a delusion in my head. It could be my future self. It could be some sort of higher being.
It's the bigger you.
Whatever it is, whatever it is. I'm not saying that it's a creator or a god or anything like that. I'm just saying from my experience, I've felt very, very real and tangible things, or had very real and tangible experiences, many of them sober.
Yeah.
Where I felt like I was communicating or being like... I don't even know how to explain it.
Through like symbols in your world.
I don't even know.
Or more sort of like intuitive knowing.
It's really hard to explain. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that this thing, God,
is helping you.
Well, that's right. You were asking me about connection. I guess when it first started to happen, it was scary because it didn't make sense. It went against everything that I thought was my scientific, logical mind could possibly fathom.
Right.
But
it wasn't rational?
Yeah, it was completely crazy. It was just insanity.
Yeah.
And I didn't trust it. Back to trust. I didn't trust this thing.
Okay.
I thought that I maybe was delusional or schizophrenic or
like having some psychosis or something.
Yeah, totally. And maybe I was. Maybe that's what psychosis is. But it kept happening, and at first it seemed like this thing was trying to harm me. I don't know. It seemed like it was like out to get me, because at first it was destroying everything that I believed in. It was destroying my life.
Wow.
It was turning it upside down. It was making me question, like we're talking about earlier, everything.
Yeah.
And as the days went on, I kind of realized, like, this thing isn't just going to go away.
Right.
Stop trying to push it away.
Yeah.
Stop being scared of it. Maybe not stop being scared of it because I was terrified of it, but I was like, I have no choice.
Yeah.
I just have to, like, let this thing
You have to communicate with it.
And I have to let this thing do its thing, and I have to listen.
Yeah.
And so as it kept happening, I would sort of just be calm, and I would breathe, and I'd like calm down. And I realized that it was like trying to help me. It was like it was like it almost felt like the devil was teaching me. But like the devil's not like a bad guy. He just like he teaches with fire.
Yeah.
You know, he has to burn you. Like you have to learn the hard way with the devil.
Right.
And and I don't even know if I'm making any sense, but
no, I'm right here with.
Because I'm not giving you any like tangible like specific like encounters with this,
but this is the thing. You have to pay attention to the energy.
Yeah.
This is almost like for everybody, listening, is literally when you're talking about things that are multidimensional or like AI type shit, you get beyond the rational linear mind, and you almost have to tap into a sixth sense of like intuition, and that's what you were following as you were connecting with this sort of expanded part of yourself. That's
maybe, dude. Maybe it feels like It feels like a hyper intelligent being. It feels like something that is so smart and knows everything.
And how are you connected to it? Speaking of connection. What is it in relation to you? Like, is it your brother? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you relate to it? Is it your teacher, your friend, your...
I see it as like as a teacher for sure. I saw it for a while as something separate from myself.
Right. And that's
but
what made it scary.
Lately I've been questioning whether it's actually just a part of me. Because what I'm realizing is that there's so many different parts of me. And I am, like, the person you're speaking to is just, like, sort of the collaboration of all these different things.
Yeah. Even beyond that, there's other parts.
Yeah, and I don't know how to explain any of this, like, in scientific terms. I mean, I know that there's your consciousness, there's your subconscious, and there's your unconscious. So maybe this is some sort of communication with a deeper part of my brain. I don't know. But whatever it is, it's
a different...
It's really helped me tremendously in my life, and it continues to do things that scare me, but it also, every time I learn so much, and it totally like levels me up, you know.
How do you I guess, what have you gained from like, connecting in a positive way to this more expansive energy that's almost all wisdom, love, power?
Well, it's interesting because my first encounters with it, what I gained was anxiety, panic attacks, deep doubts and fears, complete confusion, complete mental breakdowns, loss of self. So, yeah, if I had spoken to like a psychiatrist at the time, they probably would have put me on a lot of drugs. But
depends on who you're talking to.
Through all of these like terrible emotions that I picked up from my encounter with this thing, I still had a sliver of hope left that I was going to figure this out, that I was going to be okay, and that this was all happening for a reason. And I'm not saying that everything that happens for a reason. I'm just saying in this case in particular, there was more like this thing. I wasn't cursed. I was like, maybe I'm not just cursed. Maybe this isn't the end.
Yeah.
And every day I was just researching, and I was like just trying to get to the bottom of what had happened or what I was experiencing. I had lived such a naive life until this point. Like, I had never felt anxiety before. I had a panic attack. Forget about it. Like,
those repressed things came up by that and basically cleared it to expand you into a deeper connection with this more expansive part of yourself. Wait, have you ever tried this
Yeah.
Have you ever tried looking through that perspective's eyes as if you're it?
Well, let me kind of finish what this thing I was getting at was these I remember reading this one night I was sitting in my bed, and I remember looking up about anxiety, and I remember this one article the title of it was something like The Gift of Anxiety. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
What? The gift of anxiety? I was like, this is not a gift, man. This is hell. And then I remember reading it, and I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was describing a different way of seeing your anxiety. As seeing your anxiety as like a navigator, as opposed to a weight on your ankle. It was more like seeing anxiety as damn, I can't even remember what
if you have anxiety, it's telling you, hey, am I believing in something, or
yeah, almost like anxiety as like I guess maybe it had to do with like when you feel anxiety, like try to check in and ask yourself why, and that being some sort of navigator.
Yeah,
and I don't remember if that's exactly what it was, but I guess what ended up happening was that all of these negative emotions ended up like it allowed me to like actually connect with people better, because I had more empathy and understanding for the things that other people were experiencing, because up until that point I hadn't felt those feelings.
Right.
So like my capacity to connect and my like experience like went up. I've never really explained this before, so I'm sort of doing a bad job, but I guess all of these emotions
You're doing a good job.
led me to like, thanks. All of these emotions led me to just keep asking why I was feeling them and just try to figure out like I just wanted to not feel them.
Right.
And in the pursuit of trying to conquer these feelings,
yeah,
I learned so much about myself and about the world and about so many things that I never would have tried doing if I had never felt them. And because of that, I just became such a more wise and interesting and understanding person. I became an incredible listener because I was scared to talk. I didn't know what I believed in. I became so courageous because I had never felt that much fear before. I had to learn how to be so present and so in love to like overcome these feelings. And it happened, dude, and I don't feel this shit ever. I mean, I almost never feel anxiety.
Because anxiety comes from a belief. Like you can't feel a feeling or think a thought unless you're actually believing in it. Some part of you is like allowing that flower to grow.
Yeah.
It's like you're anxious, but why are you anxious? It's because you believe that if you act, you'll be rejected or this will happen. And so that belief that you will be rejected or whatever creates an anxiety. And if you remove that belief that I'll be rejected and trust that, you know, what we were talking about earlier, like that fundamentally you get what you need when you need it.
Yeah.
Then, you know, it's really, I think all this stuff, this bigger part of ourselves is what it's wanting us to become, is a better conduit, a more hyperconductive conduit for like limitless information and love and light. Because when we clear if you think of your body as sort of like an avatar, like a projected self-image, like basically almost like a formula of beliefs and thoughts and feelings and stories strung together to create this representation of yourself, you know, even though you're much bigger. As a symbol for yourself, your body, your story, who you are is a symbol for yourself. And that symbol has the capacity to be shaped into any kind of cup. You can take out those beliefs that say, I'm not going to be supported and rejected.
Totally.
And, you know, they may be so deeply lurking in, you know,
that you don't
the
even
DNA
realize they're there.
That you don't realize. And then you have these experiences come and happen to you that you get that reflected outside of you.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh shit, I have to deal with this because it's like projected right in my face.
Well, dude, I think that's something that's important to mention is like, especially earlier on in this journey of trying to get better, when I asked myself why I was feeling anxiety when it would spark, you know, like the sun would go down and suddenly it just
the mood
attacks
changes.
me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't control this. Like there's nothing that changed between 5 minutes ago and now. Like this just happened.
Yeah.
So if I ask myself why, I don't know. But the problem is, like you said, so much of what's causing that anxiety gets buried deep inside.
Yeah.
Like maybe it gets buried in your unconscious or something.
Yeah.
Or like it's so deep that you don't like you're not able to
You're not
recognize
even aware
it.
that it's there.
But it's like digging for gold. Like every day you just have to like pick up the shovel and just dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And like you might dig for 3 weeks and feel like you're like not getting anywhere. Like you're digging in the wrong spot but like slowly you start picking at it and you start becoming, and the whole process is it's very transformative because you're realizing so many new things about yourself and how your mind works and how
it's like
how your emotions work. I became so like in touch with my feelings because I just was
pay attention.
I had to pay attention to them. You know, it was the only thing I wanted to do. So
it's exciting. It's kind of like I say the shovel is your attention. You keep your attention on a spot, and it's like you're digging deeper into that spot because it's like, you know, if you ever like turn off the lights in the room that was light, at first it's like very dark, but then as you keep looking, it gets more clear. Like you start to focus in and see more objects in the room. It's not as dark. It becomes like you start to, you know, look at even like a blade of grass long enough, you'll see some shit. You know what I mean? Like you'll see like infinity in that bitch.
Yeah, totally.
So like the attention, putting it on something is like that digging. Like, and if you like look at that anxiety and like trace it back to its root by just focusing and like continuing to ask like, where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? Where is this coming? And then you keep breaking into like the core belief and then let it go, and you're not even the person you were a moment ago.
I think a big theme of this conversation too is dedication, man. Like this
clutch
journey to turning all this stuff that seemed so terrible into a blessing came from this powerful desire and this deep dedication to want to do that.
Yeah.
And it's the same dedication that drove me to be where I'm at with music. It's the same dedication that like is what I'm feeling right now when I write every single night. I write down the things I want to accomplish, you know? I think any like great and any like the best things in life come from like persistence. And like
that's the truth.
Spending like lots and lots of time, like hours, man.
One of my Inigo Minute quotes I wrote was like, you know, repetition. I think I posted it today or something. It's like repetition forces the magic to rise. You know, like I am the open door that no man can shut. Like if you keep repeated action in a certain direction, you literally know what you want, you see it, you're taking action towards it, and you continue to do it, you're going to create a result. So
exactly.
Everybody has the capacity to become bigger than they are, because the only thing that's making people think that they have to be stuck in a smaller identity with any kind of lack is because they believe that they can't be bigger than they are.
Exactly.
And low key, what I found in my inner search, outer is inner, is that you're so much bigger than you are pretending to be.
Yes.
Bigger than you can even imagine the biggest you. Like, imagine yourself as the most infinite, abundant, eternal, and that's not even scratching the surface of how big you are. So when people think that I have to be stuck in this situation or that situation, it's literally just because their perspective believes in that. And if they just stop believing that and believe that they can be in a bigger experience, a bigger version of themselves, then they'll be bigger. And it literally, like you said, takes dedication to continue to put your attention on the bigger you. Because that part of ourselves that's saying, I'm worthless, I'm zero, I can't do this, I can't have it all, is doing its best to have you feed it energy, to believe in it.
So true,
to believe in that. And
it's so true.
You have to consciously step back and be like, yo, I'm the motherfucking creator. I'm the witness. Yeah, like, I'm going to choose to focus on whatever the fuck I want, whatever identity I want.
Yeah. We have so much control over our lives. So much control. There's very few things we can't control. And even the things we can't control, we can control the way that we react to them and the way that we perceive them. And the reason I got out of this whole mess was because there was a part of me that believed I could.
Yes.
There was a part of me on day one that said, it was a small part, but it was enough that said, I believe that I'll be where I am right now.
Yes.
And it was like, that part of me knew it.
And you kindled that flame.
Yeah, and every day I constantly reminded myself
that I could do it. That idea.
And it's the same with everything, like singing, dude. Singing, like I was never a singer. I came out to LA, dropped out of college to come out to LA.
Yeah.
I was a great producer, but I couldn't sing for shit.
Wow.
And there was a part of me that was like, I can do this. I believe in myself. Now there was another part of me that was incredibly doubtful.
Yeah.
And I still have that part of me, and when I let myself give into that, I can't sing for shit.
Right.
When I believe that,
because you're operating from that lower identity.
Yeah, but when I believe that I could be the greatest singer alive, suddenly I just open up.
You sing.
And it's crazy how drastic of a change in one moment I can have just from what I believe.
You know, one of my I love this quote by Bashar. The quickest way to change is to change the idea of who you are.
Love that.
Change who you say you are, and you've instantly changed where you're creating from.
I love that, man.
You say, I'm limited in this and this. You can only create from that identity. So you
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
For so long, I was in a constant state of wanting to discover myself, like wanting to, like, I think everyone, that's like a big part of your like journey. Early life is like, who am I, you know? And it got to the point where I realized that I am whoever I want to be. Yeah. So it sort of starts by acting, like you're just putting on a role. Let's try this one today. Yeah. Let's be this way. And I think what you discover is like the parts that you really liked and connected with, you keep, and that's who you are. Yeah. But it's the same that I did with music when I was learning how to be a musician, was you start by imitating. Yeah. And you start by copying other things, and you start by like sort of
you do whatever you think you can. You do whatever you take the action that you think you need to take.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just act on it.
Yeah. And try different things, and
there's this idea of like you act by projecting an image of yourself that you think is a closer representation of the you're seeing yourself can be. Like within us, we have this vision of ourselves as this greatest vision of ourselves, right? Like in you, I'm sure you can imagine like a fucking Super Saiyan version of Steven, you know, like leveled up, like God mode.
Level 100.
Yeah. And so like that image is within you, and that image is literally just a symbol. You're literally a symbol that your older self had, and now you're the symbol that you were once dreaming yourself to be. So the symbol of an even more expansive you is within the imagination, and just by focusing on it, you almost start to if you act and don't get caught up in the mind, which can create this cage of this belief like that you're small, and then if you act, yeah, you could literally slowly get into the bigger you.
Yes.
And literally nothing is impossible. Like you could, that's why I say this is a dream, because you could just say like I'm this, and like with enough perseverance of like kindling that attention on that you can then be that legitimately. You'll like one day wake up and be that you, and like you, this is the trippy part, is that means that you already are it on a different frequency. The you, the big you,
you're just tuning into him.
You're just tuning into you're just looking through the eyes of the you that already exists. That's the bigger you.
That's cool.
And literally, therefore, there's really no doubt or failure or anxiety of needing to be the bigger you, because you already are it on some level, and you might as well enjoy where you're at now while you're shifting into the you you're excited to become. So it's like, it's just, there's peace in that, I think, for me.
In what way?
Just because I think, as a younger version of me, I was like very ambitious to like create change and blah blah blah, but if you like, my wisdom teaches me that me is already, I already have it all. I'm already all of it. I've accomplished it all. I don't need to do something to get some validation out of it. Like I'm doing it literally because I want to do it, because it's fun, and I can, because I can.
I love that.
And I'm not doing it to validate my worth or to even change something. More so just because this is what is exciting. And just for no reason other than, it's like you're all of it, and you're literally just like, this would be really fun to play this limiting character that's like a person, and they're like saying, oh, I'm so weak, says infinite love, wisdom, and power. I'm so, unworthy, says all of existence. Mask, that mask, wearing that mask of the limited self is quite a artsy and fun experience. And then it's like you start to tip that mask and like wink behind it here and there, and like flash a little bit of that unlimited power, and like show that multi-arm form, and like do things that you would say cannot be done.
Multi-armed form. I've never said that.
Well, you just did.
Dude, the way you describe things is so epic. I love it.
Hell yeah.
Infinite light, multi-armed form, ascension. It's cool.
You're raising your frequency, you're ascending into the you that is bigger, that already is right now. It's kind of like what you were talking about earlier of like that you that you were scared of.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah.
And low key, you can, through that connection, start to look through its eyes, and even see yourself as something that you're looking at rather than looking from.
So in layman's terms, you can do anything you want. You can be anybody you want. But I think that's something that's important, especially living in LA. Like, I'm surrounded by workaholics.
Yeah.
And it's cool because everyone's so driven to like accomplish their dreams. But the problem is that the person that you, as a 14-year-old, dream of becoming, by the time you're halfway there, the person you dream of becoming is even grander. And he's always farther away. He's always years away. And so you spend your whole life trying to become this thing.
Yeah.
That's better and better and better and better and better and better. And you're never satisfied with what you have.
Yeah.
And I think that's a dangerous trap to fall into.
Yes.
I think that
it's not sustainable.
If you require external factors in your life, whether it's success or a relationship or a series of events to happen before you can love yourself,
Yeah.
then you're never really going to love yourself, because self-love doesn't come from anything superficial.
It's not
or
the
external.
dangling carrot.
No. No, I do think self-love takes self-respect, and self-respect takes following through on the things you say you're going to do.
Yeah, true. That's some G shit.
But it's just a balance, man. Everything's a balance. Everything we ever talk about is a balance. So you can sit here and dream about becoming somebody and go for it and fucking do it up, man. But don't forget to check in with yourself and realize how much you've actually accomplished and be in wonder of who you actually are.
And that's the balance point.
Yeah.
That's the neutral point.
And be in wonder of how ridiculous this experience is and how lucky we are, man. Like, dude,
what is happening?
The fact that we can
now?
have a conversation and share it with people, and the fact that these people, that anybody listening has the ability to just go on the internet and listen to it, like, we're doing fine.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing fine. Like,
we're connecting at a faster rate with
we're so
all
lucky.
of ourselves.
Don't forget that, you know.
The gratitude.
And so it's all.
Well, it's just the gratitude and just the basic idea that this experience is, we think it's very normal, but it's weird as shit. Like, this is weird as fuck. You know,
right?
But we really think all the things we're doing is
we're
super
evolved
normal.
monkeys upside down on a giant rock in the middle of infinite space.
Walking
We
from
have
room
no idea
to
how we
room.
got here.
All we're doing really is we're walking from like room to room and talking and then eating and then driving and then moving around and
Mhm.
you know, it's like, I don't know, it's funny.
It is.
But it's really exciting and cool and really like avant-garde to like look at.
But that's just one perspective, man.
And I think that's the art in living.
Yes.
Is how do you finesse your perspective and your senses?
Yes. Oh my God. Okay, so we're taking this full circle.
Intimacy.
We're taking this full
with the
circle here.
moment.
So let's conclude with this,
Yes,
because this is like a cool ending.
Yeah.
Because we started this conversation with you talking about no thought, no mind.
No mind, yeah.
Clearing the canvas of perspective, like removing the lens of the camera.
Yeah.
But part of being human, and this is why I kind of argue about this. I've been sort of arguing about this, is like part of being human is the beauty in picking the lens you want to see the world through.
Yeah.
So if you spend your whole life seeing the world through no lens,
Yeah.
what's the point? But I mean, maybe it's awesome. Some people do it, right? Like monks or like Buddha did that, I guess, right? But like,
but that's the misconception.
I have
no
a
lens.
like. Okay, if I walk outside, I can put on any lens that I want. One lens can be fear, and in that lens, there's a million reasons why I should be shaking and scared and terrified of life.
Yeah.
You look at the news. You look at the news. You see people getting killed. You walk outside, like there's, I don't know. There's a million reasons why you could be scared at all times.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone can argue that, right? Like you could just have a heart attack.
No, I got you. I'm right here.
But you could also walk outside and put on a lens, like you said, of like humor.
Yeah.
And you could walk outside and the same things are happening, but you could look at them and just be rolling on the floor.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
Like looking at the dude walking, and he's like got a funny strut.
Yeah.
And the way he says hello is like so serious, but you can tell he's like kind of awkward, and it's just hilarious, and you're just laughing.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking about this guy trying to like stab you.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. It's very different.
But you could walk outside and you could put on the perspective of like, I'm the fucking man.
Yeah.
And suddenly like your strut's a little taller.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
right.
You're feeling it. Or you could put on the perspective of like, poor little me.
Right.
And you like curl up in a little ball and you're walking and you're like scared and you like don't want to make eye contact.
Energy changes completely.
Yeah, but nothing's changing other than your perspective and therefore the things you're thinking.
Yes.
And that's why the other day I said take pride in the way that you see the world.
It's so unique.
Because it's so unique. And
you're
it can be
miraculous snowflake.
Yeah, and we all see the world differently. Even if I see the world through a lens of love and you see the world through a lens of love, it's different. It's different,
yeah. Because we're different.
Yeah.
But at the core, we're the same.
And to continue the full circleness, maybe that's part of also what I love about music is that I get to share like my unique perspective on things.
Right.
You know, my like.
And everyone has that.
Everybody has that, man. Everybody has that. And if you're an artist, remember that I think art is the combination of your perspective, but also your skills. So, like I hear music all the time where it's like so perfect and clean and like everything's hitting right, but there's like it's not unique or it's lacking emotion. It's lacking like authenticity.
Well, that's what great art is. You keep at it until you become the you that has it all checked.
And then I also see music that's the other, where it's like all raw and honest and unfiltered, but it's like there's no hours put into like the mastery of this craft.
Yeah.
So it's the combination of both of those things.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Yeah, that's true.
And that applies to so many other things in life, but especially creative, especially like artistic endeavors.
And so check this out to end it on this note. I think because you're just talking about bringing skill and
like authenticity
or
your lens, your perspective.
Your lens, yeah. And so this is because I look at myself as an artist. And I think everybody should, and I think the finest art that I think as our consciousness expands into the unity perspective and recognizing that we're all unique lenses and we get to look at the world through unique ways, activating our senses, smell, touch, feel, taste, vision, all of it, and deciding how am I going to feel internally while looking at the beautiful sunset, while having this amazing person with me, while touching the grass with my feet, whatever, like just taking it all
Sounds
in
amazing.
And being in this ecstatic realization of all those neurons hitting. All of that entire experience, it comes from being really deeply connected to being present and being in a place where you are appreciating yourself and appreciating where you're at. And being open to the spontaneous. Because when you're using your senses to see the world in your unique way, you get surprised because you see things that you didn't. You become someone that you weren't. You become something that you weren't looking for. Because the more you're present, the less you're full of the limit of what you think needs to happen, and let yourself artistically look at yourself as the art piece. So what I'm trying to say is there's all these different art forms, but the greatest art form in my opinion is how do you look at your life as the art piece? How do you look at your character as the art piece? How do you want to shape your character, +2 charisma, +1 wisdom, whatever? And what environment do you want to perceive your character in? How do you want to experience yourself and your life and your perspective? And that's what I think the highest art form is, when you recognize you're literally the entire moment and you can curate yourself within yourself by literally deciding my art is my experience and how I view it.
Amen, bro.
Amen. Bro, I love the chat.
Yeah, amazing.
There's gonna be so many more.
Yeah, so many more, dude. Just scratching the surface.
Just scratching the surface because there is no surface. It's an infinite deep dive.
Man.
Thank you for listening to the Indigo Minute podcast. Stay tuned for future episodes with the homies.